Week 12 on iRacing is always special as we get to see multiple championships come to a close. Today, Joseph Fabian will be hoping for another strong performance here in Italy as he looks set to take the championship crown. However, don't discredit other top competitors such as Floris Bichar, who, while he isn't here today, he has proven recently that Joseph Fabian can be beat. And maybe we'll see a different driver climbing out onto Monza's famous podium, which is like none other. Hello everyone and welcome to the season finale of a Batteries Not Included Championship live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Bill Zahn. Behind the scenes doing all of our button pushing is our director Sean Ambrose, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, the Batteries Not Included Championship took a bit of a sabbatical before coming back this season, but these drivers have certainly came back strong and they've provided us with some great shows. And honestly, when it comes to Monza, we know we should definitely be getting set to end this season on a high note.
Absolutely. We are at the Autodromo Internazionale Monza. That's the official name of this place. The track is located in the city of Monza, north of Milan, Italy. You know, this place was built in 1922, and it was the world's third purpose-built racetrack after Brooklands in Surrey, England, and, of course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The track's proximity to Ferrari headquarters in Maranello makes Monza the unchallenged home of the Italian Grand Prix, being held here every year except one. Now, we don't have a lap guide for you, but we can bring this down and we can take a lap around. There you see what it looks like here at Monza today. Over the years, the track has gone through several layout changes, including in 1954 when the construction of a high-banked oval. But you don't have to worry about that. We're not going to put Williams on that today, even though I would love to see it. We're going to be racing on the familiar track, which is 5.8 kilometers. That's 3.6 miles around for those few metrically challenged. There are 11 turns, 3 chicanes, and really the most fun one is a Scari. The final, it's a left chicane that heads you down into Parabolica, which is the final corner. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a good fit for these Williams, and we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, we're currently doing the lap with Antonio Ortiz Poveda, who has been one of the stronger performers towards the end of the season. Now, he's currently working his way through the middle portion of the lap here. These are the two 90-degree right-handers called the Lesmo, and now he's coming down the hill towards that third and final chicane you just mentioned, Bill. This chicane definitely more open than the opening two. You start the lap with the Rettifilio chicane, then you have the Della Rosa, now you have this high-speed Ascari chicane. Get a good exit out of it. Whoa, it was a car off the pace there. These drivers have many different agendas going on during practice. A long run down this straight, over 200 miles an hour before the braking zone for the Parabolica. Long 180-degree right-hander leads you back out onto the main straight, and that's going to complete his lap around here. Let's see what kind of lap time that was actually for Poveda. That was 1:23.4, the fourth fastest time right now in practice. Qualifying about to start.
Really is even with the chicanes that they put in, it really is still a really fast track.
Well, we've talked a bit about the track, Bill, and as qualifying gets set to start here, let's take a look at some of the drivers who have been competing throughout the season as we get set to wrap up this championship.
Well, we were on board with Antonio Poveda there, and he's got an outside chance to still get the championship. You look up there, you see Joseph Fabian out in front by 82 points. See that little 14 by the drops there? Even if he were to get 0 points here today, he would end up with 14. That's his highest scoring drop race of the 4 that have been removed. So that really puts him 96 points up on Floris Bichar. Now, Bichar's not here today, so then you got to go all the way down to Antonio Poveda, add that 14 points, and you get to 110. And now you start to get to the point where, boy, can Poveda even score that many points? Remember, they do scoring based on iRating formula, so you're not really sure what the win and what last place is going to earn you. Let me just put it this way. I think Joseph Fabian, barring a total eclipse of the sun where the stars align and the worst case scenario happens for him, I think Fabian is in pretty good shape for the championship. How about Thomas Ziegler down there? He's 120 points back. He's been doing really well. And Clayton McLeod, at 132, rounding out the overlay.
Yeah, Clayton McLeod has ran into a lot of bad luck recently. Hopefully he'll be able to turn that around here. He likes running with a Ferrari paint scheme, and of course we're at Monza, the home of the Tifosi. Let's have a look at exactly what these drivers are up against today with our race details. This is the 12th and final round of the championship. As we mentioned, 4 drop weeks will be taken into account at the end of the season, so only your best 8 results will count. 35 lap race here today at Monza. These drivers do have open setups, however they are restricted on the amount of fuel they can have in their car, so you've got to make one stop. What do? Do you start the race with a heavy fuel load, make a short pit stop and have a dash to the end, or do you start the race with a light fuel load, get off to a good start, but then you have a longer pit stop during the middle of a race? So both strategies have their advantage, and we've seen both strategies work at different points throughout the season. And then, as Bill was just mentioning down there at the bottom, this series scores based on official iRacing points, and there's really no way to tell what they are until the checkered flag drops. So for our sake of having to not have a headache today, hopefully Joseph Fabian should be able to walk away with an incident-free race and walk away with his championship. But as you mentioned, if Fabian does run into some misfortune, Pavetta could steal this away from him.
You know, this is the debut season for the Batteries Not Included, and it has been fun, as we're only 10 races in, well, 11 races in now. This will be race number 12. How about this? We've had 6 different winners so far this season. That's really healthy. A couple drivers that have wins that aren't here today. Excuse me, Scott Newton has 3, and he's not showing up today. Also, there's a driver that I'm not familiar with. Adam Schmaluski, I believe, has a win earlier this year. Clayton McLeod has a few. Pavetta has 1. Bashar has 2. Now, Flores, again, isn't here today. And, of course, Joseph Fabian, our points leader, has 3.
First lap times clicking off as Thomas Ziegler runs at 1:24.0. The kickoff qualifying, our fastest time in practice was a 1:23.3, so that 1:24.0 won't hold at the top. These drivers have a 10-minute qualifying session. The track is open to them all at the same time, but they can turn as many laps as they wish. So plenty of time to get a clean lap in. No excuse to not do so.
Currently, our fastest driver in practice is another name I'm not familiar with, Evan Lathuris.
We've seen Evan
1:23.3, have you?
Yeah, we've seen Evan Lathuris before. Not a whole lot in this Williams. He's performed okay when he's raced in this Williams. We're more familiar with him when GSRC used to cover the top split of the official iRacing F1 series, where they raced the McLaren MP430s. Lathuris competed in those. I've got to say, it seems he's taken to the Williams a bit stronger than what he was over in the McLarens. And hopefully, I'll tell you what, Bill, there's been a lot of drivers who have really came on leaps and bounds towards the end of the season. You mentioned one of them just a moment ago, being Thomas Ziegler, and that makes me excited for next season, and that's one of 3 reasons I'm excited for next season. So that's the first reason.
Okay.
The second reason is going to be back here on GSRC again. We're going to have coverage of the Batteries Not Included Championship. But do you want to know the third reason that I'm excited?
I do. Don't leave me hanging.
We are going to be broadcasting the Batteries Not Included Championship on the iRacing Esports Network next season.
Oh my goodness, that is big news. Really, you are breaking news. You know, you talked about the McLaren. Most of these drivers are fans of the Williams. That's why they're racing over here. The McLaren is almost like Baltimore. That is the car that shall not be named. They love the McLaren. A little less complicated as the current Formula One car that's out there. This one is fun to drive. Puts on a good show. Thereby the name Batteries Not Included, as there are none of that fancy electronics in this one.
Of course, even though these cars have the 2009 Williams under them, that doesn't stop drivers such as Clayton McLeod from giving them different paint schemes. He improves his time only very slightly, remains 5th fastest so far, racing a Scuderia Ferrari paint scheme there. He's been doing it all season long, but as we mentioned, quite appropriate here when you see that Monza. Another driver out there in a Ferrari livery is Fabien Jungbluth. He's actually coming out of Parabolica right now, but he's heading into the pits.
Still waiting for our points leader to put in a qualifying time, just as Fabien. There's Jungbluth. And there's our point leader. He just worked his way through Ascari, heading down into Parabolica. You gotta be a little careful in this corner. If you get this car out a little bit wide, it gets a little bit bumpy, bad things can happen to you here. This one, Parabolica, this one, relatively safe corner, but it can bite you. Let's see if this is a hot lap or if this was just the warm-up lap. Just a warm-up for Joseph, or at least that one's not going to count, so.
Well, let's ride on board then. Let's see how this hot lap goes for him. He doesn't have any traffic so far. Fabien Jungbluth was exiting the pits. The next car up on the track ahead of him, Alan Morgan, is also on the hot laps. Hopefully he shouldn't encounter him. Now these are those 2 chicanes we were talking about earlier. We just rode on board him going through the Rettifilio. Now he goes through the Della Rogia, left and then the right. He does that nicely. Now you come out to these 2 Lesmos right-handers. You can make a pass here. Normally this part of a track leads to some good battles when they get alongside. Now, of course, these are the 2009 F1 cars. We mentioned that a couple of times already, but that means no DRS. If you want to make a pass down the long straight, you've got to do it the hard way. You've got to get a slipstream. And I'll tell you right now, as Fabien enters Ascari, he might run into a little bit of traffic. Hopefully he doesn't, because he's had quite a clean lap so far. In fact, he might be able to gain a bit of a slipstream from Alan Morgan here.
Yeah, I think Morgan is far enough ahead as Morgan just going into Parabolica right now that it might help him not only going into Parabolica, he might get a tow coming out of it as they head to the start-finish line. This is like a pretty good lap from Fabien. Let's see how it plays out.
Second fastest, just by a couple hundredths of a second. Now, we mentioned him a couple of times. Alan Morgan actually taking a tow to the pits, but I wanted to mention him because he's got an orange and black liveried scheme, which we saw last week on Silvio Hertz's car, but I also see another car out there racing with that paint, and they're going backwards right now. It's Erwin Woodstra, so it looks like we've had a new team join this, join the Batteries Not Included Championship.
Yeah, talk about joining. How about a nice field? 15 drivers put in qualifying times. Looks like about 24 drivers were actually here entered into the race. That's great for the final event of the season. People get more familiar with it, and they realize that it is on GSRC. Yeah, naturally that starts to pick up. Now we're going to look at Robert Grosser.
Also on the hot lap here. Let's see where it puts him.
He's down at 12. He's hoping to better that time. I think he will.
He was a 10th off that lap, but he's got enough time for one more lap around here.
Grosser sitting in 12th, just ahead of Michael Overberg.
Pavetta is out on track. He's trying to improve his time. Actually, he just did. Pavetta improves the pole time, so it's going to make it tougher for his competitors to beat. Fabien going out one more time for a hot lap. Joseph Fabien has enough time. He'll be one of the last cars, actually, to turn a hot lap, but Pavetta, the guy he's trying to take pole from, is spun in front of him. Yep. Unfortunately, Pavetta was off the track. I don't think I'll hold Fabien up.
We talked about Evan Lotharis being at the top of the early qualifying. He looks like he's going to sit around in 4th. He put in his final lap. Now we'll see what Fabien can do here. It's going to come down between Fabien and Pavetta. I'm sure Joseph would love to be out in front of Antonio heading down into Ascari. Actually, be Rettifilio is our first chicane.
Yeah, a couple more drivers finishing up their lap time. I hope for Michael A. Overbay's sake he can gain some time, because 13th is not where we're used to seeing him on the grid. Oh, and Fabian spins off. So Pavetta is going to take pole. Overbay does not improve, so he won't start any better than 13th. Daniel Lurchner still out there on the lap, as is Evan Mathorus.
Fabian gets that mistake out of the way, so it don't want that to happen during the race. Might as well burn it in the last lap of qualifying. There's Lurchner.
He's had some impressive performances this season.
Yes, indeed.
Coming in. Alright, what about Lathoris? He's 4th. He'll need to gain a couple of tenths to get up onto the front row of the grid. And that lap time did not count.
Talked about Lurchner. He has been hot. He has a 2nd and a 3rd his last times out in the podiums both times. All right, we are done.
Indeed we are. The checkered flag drops on qualifying, and Antonio Ortiz Pavetta is going to be your pole sitter. Joseph Fabian to his outside. Thomas Ziegler will be starting in 3rd position, with Evan Lothoris starting from P number 4. Daniel Lurchner rounds out the top 5, and then Clayton McLeod, who was a championship lead earlier this season, he's since faded, he'll be starting 6th. Fabian Jungblue, the other Ferrari in the field, starting 7th ahead of Clemens Model. Damon Martinez and Marcus Gresdal round out the top 10.
In 11 is Stefan Henkel. Robert Grosser behind him in 12th. In the Baker's dozen spot, it is Michael Overby. A little farther back than we would expect from him. Alon Morgan in 14th. Christian Schmidt right behind him. All ribbons and pearls in the Sweet 16 position is Chris Payne. Erwin Woodstra in the 17th spot, just ahead of Robert D'Souza. Dave Peterson in 19th. Silvio Hurt rounding out your top 20. 2 other drivers back there. Hopefully they'll grid up. That's Mike Keeler and Emmanuel Gomez-Esteban. 21 drivers entered. 16 put in qualifying times.
Yeah, 22 entered, but Mike Keeler is not in the session, so it looks like we will have 21 starters just waiting for Damon Martinez to take to the grid. And then we will be underway here. So Pavetta starting on the racing line. It's the outside line for the first turn, but he should have better grip. Of course, fuel loads normally play a huge impact in who's able to get a better launch off of a line. Normally, I tell you to look out for Bishar. He's been the best starter of these drivers this season, but he's not here. So who will lead? There's a long run down into that first corner. Pavetta on the outside, Fabian on the inside, Ziegler and Lothoris behind them. All 21 cars who are here are gridded up right now. The lights are getting set to go on, and when they go off, we will be racing for 35 laps here at Monza. The lights are off and away they go, and it's a nice launch by Pavetta. And he isn't going to have really any competition from Fabian into the first turn. He could come off that inside if he wanted, but no, he sticks to the racing line. Pavetta leads through turn 1. Fabian side by side with Lothoris, who gets a nice start up in 2nd.
You know, and Tiger got into the back with Fabian in his gearbox. Joseph falls back to 3rd. And Ziegler then is going to lose momentum, and he's going to lose 4th position to Giscal gets in there.
Now into the De La Roja chicane. Can they sort out their battles? Gresdal can't. He gets turned. He got loose, and then Ziegler had nowhere to go. He gets into the back of it. Oh, and another spinner out of the chicane. And this one's the biggie. Jungblue has spun, and there's a big crash as cars going across the field. Rootster goes flying.
A lot of drivers involved in this one. Henkel was there. Bain had to take evasive action. Youngblood, of course, involved in it. Christian Schmidt got turned around. That was ugly.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of that in a moment. The De La Roja chicane, where all the carnage taking place here on the opening lap, but it's all going on far behind Antonio Ortiz Pavetta, who's doing everything he can. If there's a chance for him to win this championship, he's right where he needs to be. The problem is Joseph Fabian isn't too far behind in 3rd.
Good news for Fabian. There was a lot of chaos on lap number 1, but he was far enough ahead. None of it involved him. So far, he's looking in good position to win this championship. A lot of talk going on from a lot of wows between drivers as they review what happened on lap number 1.
Yeah, things went south for Daniel Lurchner coming out of a parabolica. He overshot the final turn, got in the gravel. That's going to hurt him. So Pavetta leads. And what's happened to Lothaurus? He was in second. He's in the lead. I was looking at Pavetta. Pavetta's off the pace. Something is wrong.
I think it's a slowdown penalty. Yeah,
Let's find out what happened.
It was the first chicane. He made a mistake. He cut Renofilio on lap number 2 and then had a slowdown penalty. He had to sacrifice the lead then to Lothaurus, and I believe Fabian did not get him. You see it right here. Everything's going fine through here. Well, this is afterwards. He pays the price. There we go.
Yeah, I was looking at Pavetta and I couldn't see Lothaurus behind him. I'm like, oh, something happened to Lothaurus. No, nothing happened to Lothaurus. Lothaurus is up there leading this race.
How about you grid fourth and find yourself in the lead here on lap number 2? Well done.
Joseph Fabian having internet connection issues. It's not the first time we've seen this season from him.
He's back though. He is ahead of Pavetta.
Great scrap going on for 5th place. Robert Groza has gone from 12th on the grid up to 5th. Might be an indication that he's carrying a light fuel load. He's gone by Clemens Model, Thomas Ziegler, Damon Martinez.
He's pulling away from Bowles right now. Working through De La Roggia on his way to into the Lesbo. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the early incident.
Yeah, I think Fabian Jungbluth would be a good driver to watch here. There were 2 accidents in the De La Roggia chicane, but Jungbluth was the one that really tied up a lot of cars.
I think we've got it now.
See, there's another accident going on there, but then Jungbluth gets T-boned from behind, and there's a pack of cars behind him that had nowhere to go. And Wuchka was actually one of the drivers who came off worst of that.
Yeah. So what does that mean? I think we've lost about 6 drivers out of the starting grid.
I saw a change for second there. Pavetta getting back by Fabian after serving his penalty earlier on.
Pavetta is fast, and I'm not sure how much Fabian really wants to battle right now. He's happy back there, though. One thing that Fabian has to, well, 2 things he has to watch out for is crashing, and then I guess he has control of that, but what he doesn't have control of is the internet connection. Hopefully that'll hang steady. We'd hate to see the championship lost because of that.
Yeah, I also think, Bill, it might be a bit of Fabian's carrying a bit of a heavier fuel load. He's done that a few times this season.
I think we're looking at that from several drivers. Some of these guys look really quick out there in comparison to how they fall.
Good battle going on for 7th place. Thomas Ziegler, we saw in the replay, Ziegler definitely got a big part of that incident going on in the De La Roggia chicane on the opening lap. I think he has been damaged by that, and that's what's dropped him back here, but he's still putting up a nice fight against Clemens Mulder.
Yeah, I thought Mulder was going to lose touch, but Ziegler not able to pull away. Mulder doing a good job of hanging in there.
Four laps already in the books. Let's give a quick rundown of the top 10 here, Bill. It's Lothaurus, Pavetta, Fabian, McLeod and Grosjean in the top 5. Martinez, Ziegler, Model, Henkel and Peterson rounding out the top 10 after our opening 4 laps. Peterson, a big move there. I know you don't count that because he didn't set a qualifying time, but he's up from 19th to 10th.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers doing that same thing. Right behind Peterson, Silvio Hurt from 20th to 11th. Manuel Gomez Esteban 21st to 12th. Although there aren't a lot of cars racing behind those guys as attrition has been brutal.
Here are two of the drivers we just read out, Damon Martinez in 6th place, Thomas Ziege in 7th. And I wonder if we're seeing a bit of a comeback here from Ziege, Bill. Like I mentioned, I think he got a bit of damage early on. Maybe he's learning how to drive with the damage. Yeah, oh, Lathoris is in! I'm sorry, Evan Lathoris is into the pits. Our race leader. I wonder if he forgot to put race fuel in his car. And that's why he pulled away so fast.
That would definitely be an indication of why he was so quick. Not the worst thing that can happen. He'll just have to take a long time in here to get the thing filled up.
I'm not sure he can fill it up to the end from here, though.
Well, that's a good point. In at lap 6. Boy, and this is a long stop. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, so that means Pavetta, he's back out, but he's definitely out of a running for the win now. Pavetta now leads the race, only by a second over Fabian. But the really good news for Fabian, Bill, is we've had so much attrition in the opening stages. Even if he binned it right now, he'd probably be able to salvage enough points.
That's a really good point. I think you're absolutely right. That's gotta help him out. He can race with a little more aggression now as he works his way around the slower car of Christian Schmidt. Christian out there in 15th spot, last car on the lead lap. Well, not anymore, I guess.
Yeah, Evan Lathoris came back out on track and for whatever reason he towed to the pits. Let's give you a rundown of the cars out of the race. We've lost Jungbluth, we've lost Overbay, Alan Morgan, I don't know if, he's out of the race. Woodstra, he went flying early on. Lurchin is out of the race. Gresdor is out of the race. I think we're down to about 14 cars already.
Yeah, a lot of those drivers with really good qualifying times. Jungbluth was 7th. Lurchner qualified 5th. And Lathoris, of course, we talked about him. He was qualified 4th. So some guys who were quick early, out of the race now.
One of the survivors from all the carnage was Thomas Ziege. We've been keeping half an eye on him. He's picked off another spot. He got by Damon Martinez. So Ziege trying to recover here. And I really hope when we're back next season on the iRacing Esports Network, Bill, that we see more of Thomas Ziege like we've seen him in the second half of this season. He's definitely been coming on stronger in the latter stages.
Absolutely, and he actually is only a half-second back now of Robert Grosser. In fact, my gosh, he is on the back of Grosser. Look at Ziege, he's coming. I think he's going to make this pass right here. Gobble, 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 my gosh. Move him up into 4th position. He's going to have to do it around the outside of Parabolica, but no problem for Thomas. Woo, he's flying.
Now Grosser's going to have to worry about Damon Martinez behind him. A battle for 5th going on. And I say worry, Grosser is still up about 7-6 positions from where he started, so he's still having a good race.
That the driver we haven't talked much about is we don't need to go there, but Clayton McLeod, who's sitting in 3rd all by himself.
Yeah, Ziege has had to spin. So Thomas Ziege, who was running in 4th, we were singing his praises, he has now dropped back to 6th.
There you see it. Good news is he didn't hit anything, just lost time. More good news, he's still going to be just as fast.
He could have burned off his tires a little bit.
There is a pass. Now, let's go up to 4th. This is Grosser and Martinez.
Going back to the tyres point real quick, it's quite cool track temperatures out today, so tyre wear isn't too much of a concern, but always something you got to worry about in these F1 cars. Here we go. Here we go, out of a Parabolica. Martinez, can he get a good run on Grosser here? I think he's a bit too far back.
Too far back. Ty McLeod just had a spin in third position. He's going to be able to hang on to third. It just happened as we spoke. Sorry, it's Clayton McLeod. I got went into my AOR days with Ty McLeod. Clayton made a mistake there in Redifilio. Just a little bit of one. Here, we see it right here. Whoops. Not the best racing line.
And as we come back live, nice battle for 7th going on between Clemens Model and Stefan Henkel. Model's able to hold off a challenge from Henkel for now, but Henkel definitely was sticking his nose on the inside, telling Model, hey, I would like this position. And Clemens says, oh, that's nice. Have fun back there.
Henkel started in 11th. He's got a good run. In fact, I think he's going to get Modal. He's going to wait a little bit. We'll wait through his scar. Let's see what he can do down into Parabolica. And if he doesn't get him into Parabolica, I think he's going to be able to get him going down into Redifilio after they cross the start-finish line. Henkel is quick. Oh, my goodness. Thank you very much. As if it was different classes of cars. And maybe this tells a lot. Modal says, I'm going to come in for a stop.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he can make it to the end from here now. It means he's really going to have to take care of his tyres, though, in the second stint, I would expect.
Sitting on lap 10, 26 to go. I've covered a few of these races. I do like the interesting pit strategy that always seems to show up in these events. Pit early, pit late. It's fun. Modal finishes that stop. He's going to be the leader of all the cars who have pitted as he cycles out into 10th position.
Still a good little scrap going on for 4th place here. Grosser holding off Martinez and Ziga. Ziga trying to recover from his error and get these 2 positions back again. He's already done it once. He's got to do it again now. And, whoa, that would have been a late move.
Yeah, watch Thomas. He is flying. He's going to get David Martinez right here without a problem. Let's see if he can make it a twofer. I don't think he's going to get to Grosser. No, he's not even going to get to Martinez. Martinez gets the benefit of a little bit of a toe now, Sam, and he's going to make the pass going into Redifilio. This is some good racing. Watch the drive that Ziegler gets out of here, though, as he had the best entry, but no, he can't get the power down. Loses up a bunch of time.
Well, Gross had good positioning. Ziegler was pretty much on the throttle. I think he would have been able to get the power down, but Gross said, no, you're not coming through this way. And in fact, Gross was trying to think about getting 4th place back for Martinez. All this scrapping, holding them all up a little bit, but no one else really around them. This is all for 4th position, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
This might be the best news here for Thomas Ziegler, as it was hard for him to make the pass because both the drivers in front of him were so close together. If he can get Grosser and then Martinez one at a time, it might be easier for him. Boy, he is really good under braking. But again, not so good getting the power down. I know there's a bit of the concertina effect, but I don't think that's really the case here. I really think Ziegler is good under braking, having trouble coming off the corner.
This battle has simmered down a tiny bit. We got a couple of drivers. Joseph Fabian in trouble! Joseph Fabian has a slide out of the Redifilio chicane. He hasn't hit anything. He's blinking a lot, I'll tell you that much. But he will lose 2nd place, but he's still in championship position.
Boy, that was really a strange spin. First of all, he missed the apex coming in. Then was really slow through it. I guess maybe it's just being off his racing line, getting the power down. The car just got away from him as it came around.
Yeah, Joseph Fabian, as we mentioned, though, his championship chances are looking pretty good due to the amount of attrition. We had another car retire from the race quite recently. Robert De Souza is out. Another driver who was out early on, he was having a good race until things went south, was Evan Lathoris.
Yep.
And we brought Evan in here. Evan, you were having a good race, then things started to fall apart.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, what do you say about that? I was running light at the beginning, and I think Pavetta's actually running light because he was sort of keeping up. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes an early stop. But I got a slow down penalty in one of the corners, which I cleared, but iRacing still gave me a penalty. So I came in pit and then forgot to take off fuel, so it put an extra 80 litres of fuel in. Just a mess. So I know. And then I came out and had an incident with the back marker. So what do you do?
Oh, a good little scrap going on for 5th place on screen right as you were talking. Ziga just got a position from Grosser. Yeah, very unfortunate there. I've got to confess, we were under the impression that maybe you had put a qualifying load of fuel in your car, because we were wondering why you were coming in the pit so early. Evan, I think this is only the 2nd or 3rd race you've done in batteries not included this season, and you've been a strong performer in the races you have shown up. Do you plan to run this full time next year?
It just depends what happens with the new build and the rumours around a release of a new car. I want to do the new Renault for sure.
I'm sorry, interrupting you there. Thomas Ziga having a lot of trouble. That cost him 6th place to Henkel. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, so it just depends on what comes out for iRacing next season. If there's a new F1 car, which there's rumours that there might be, rumours of course. If there is, then I'll definitely do that, and maybe make an appearance here or there in this series.
Well, we appreciate you coming here and putting on the performance for us today. We're sorry it hasn't worked out your way though, but hey, hopefully you'll stick around and enjoy the show, because we've got a couple of good battles brewing here, Bill.
Absolutely. And thanks for coming in to talk to us. How about Ziegler? My goodness, like Sisyphus and flip-flops. He's just making his job harder than it needs to be, as he is fast, but he keeps spinning, and he's got to go around these guys again. Ziegler back into 8th. Into 3rd position, Joseph Fabian. Remember, he had that spin. Well, he lost that spot to Clayton McLeod. McLeod now up in 2nd. All this going on behind Pavetta as well out in front.
Yeah, but before we let you go, Evan, I want to ask how tricky are the track conditions out there? We noticed a very cool track temperature.
It's actually a lot more slipperier than testing, so I wasn't expecting that, and qualifying times weren't as quick. And actually, while we're on qualifying, I actually did a 23.1, which wasn't counted, but that was after the flag anyway, so oh well, not to be. But it is definitely tricky out there, and you can see these guys are sliding around a bit.
Absolutely, we've seen a good little battle for 2nd brewing here between Clayton McLeod and Joseph Fabian. They both stay out for another lap. We'll let you know after Thomas Ziga slides. He's came into the pits. That was Evan Lathoris. We've got another driver lined up for interview, but first let's see how this battle for 2nd goes, because Fabian, I think, definitely wants 2nd place back, Bill.
I'm an Evan Lathoris fan now. Fast racer, good interview. Nice of him to come in and talk to us. Joseph Fabian trying to get those spots back. He can race without the sword of Damocles hanging over him. I think that with all the attrition out, he's safe for the championship. Don't want to give it to him yet, but now he's going to have some fun here as he works on Clayton McLeod. And Clayton started the season so well, then the kind of wheels fell off the cart here at the end.
Yeah, he's definitely having a bit of a comeback performance right now, even though he's 15 seconds down the road from Pavetta. But like Evan was just telling us, maybe Pavetta's light on fuel. We'll have to wait and see how this all pans out. We got one more driver waiting in the wings before we really get deep into this pit cycle. Let's bring him in. Erwin Woodstra, you went for a ride. I'm sure it wasn't very fun.
Indeed, it wasn't. I thought I was able to get out of it, but then I noticed that I suddenly got turned over, and I am straight again on the other side of the fence, which you don't want to have.
Now you're running in a very distinct orange and black livery out there. We've seen a couple other cars out there. Silvio Hurt is currently running in 8th place in the car that looks a lot like yours. Can you tell us a bit about your team?
My team is actually Moatef, the same team Neil Andrews runs for. The other driver is Robert Souza. We don't have a team livery yet for the car, so that's why I'm driving that. I thought, well, if I can't run my team livery, I'll run something that represents my country a little bit, the Netherlands. So that's why I thought, hey, orange, why not? That's also why I have my helmet orange and white.
Well, as someone whose favourite colour is orange, I'll tell you, I very much like a livery. It looks a lot better when it's planted on the ground, though. Like I say, really not a lot to say about your race today, unfortunately. But did you like how things were going in practice? Do you think you'll be back next season to run more races?
I think I will be around next season. Practice I did was fun. I didn't have the best pace, but it was fun to drive the car. Just picked it up. And if I would have qualified, I would probably qualify top 10 somewhere. Pace was looking good. Race pace was also looking pretty good. But I decided not to qualify because I also had some connection issues. So I decided to fix that first, which I did. Then I went on the grid, and even before turn 1, someone crashed in front of me. Avoided that, and then the rest, the rest is pretty clear.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Erwin. We hope to see you back in the future.
I hope I will as well.
Races out of the Netherlands. Netherlands is an interesting country. First of all, 3 things. You have to put the word "the" in front of Netherlands before you say it. That's one thing. Their Santa Claus comes and hits kids on the head with a stick, puts them in a burlap bag, and kidnaps them to Spain. That's the second word thing. And then orange is the national color, even though their flag is red, white, and blue. It's an interesting place to live, among other reasons that I can't get into.
I'm glad I didn't let you interview Erwin, Bill. Well, I've been letting you monitor this battle for second, because this is quite a good race these two have going on.
Yeah, Fabian's coming after him right now. McLeod doing his best to hold off. McLeod's got some good pace. Honestly, I think this might come down to the undercut. We'll see when these guys decide to pit. With the attrition so much now, you can afford to come in. You wouldn't have to worry so much about traffic as it's getting less populated out there. Interesting racing line again from Clayton McLeod.
Yeah, you talk about the attrition. We mentioned Ziga came in. He did not return, but also Christian Schmidt is out of the race. I believe that's taken us down to 11 cars, only 8 of which are still on the lead lap.
That's too bad we lost Ziga, because he was really putting on a show, both going forward and backwards.
Oh, here we go. McLeod, bad run out of De La Rocha, and Fabian thought about going down the inside for Lesmos, but didn't happen. Poveda is off. Poveda goes through Ascari. He'll have to serve a slowdown now. Obviously, he won't lose the lead for that, but he will lose a lot of time.
Well, he had a 17-second cushion, so he took a little trip through the beach. He'll have the slowdown penalty. He can stop, maybe have a glass of iced tea. Probably still get out there and not lose the lead.
Yeah, in fact, it looks like he got away with that one. He cut Ascari with a 16-second lead. He rejoins the track with a 16-second lead. So taking Page out of a Fernando Alonso with that.
That's it. Found a short way around. All right, Fabian, here he comes. He's got to run. I don't think he's going to do it here. I think he's just doing a little bit of reconnaissance racing, just poking his nose in. Oh, well, that's not going to get the pass made. Came up on the back of McLeod. He was, and then again, the car gets loose in a really strange place. Boy, that's encouraging for me to see that, because that's the kind of mistake that I would make, and it's nice to see a a future champion doing the same thing. Gives me encouragement to get out there and keep racing.
Dave Peterson serving the pit stop here. He was running 6th place from 19th on the grid.
Henkel, the leader of all the cars who pitted, just coming out of Parabolica right now. Is he going to get Peterson? He is going to go around Peterson. So Stefan remains the leader of all the cars who pitted in 7th position. Peterson does come out ahead of Clemens Model.
Battle brewing. In fact, it just changed hands, I think, for 7th place with Silvio Hurt ahead of Stefan Henkel. Those two quite close. Henkel had a very slow lap 18. I wonder if he's actually on fresh tyres after serving a recent pit stop. Maybe it's colder tyres that led to this mistake. Oh, okay, and yeah. There we go. He was just coming out the pit, so that's how that pass took place.
So now Hurt up in 6th, Henkel back in 7th. So
Grosser coming out of the pits. So is this going to put Grosser as the leader of all the drivers who are pit?
I believe so. I think he's going to get out in front of Henkel. Henkel well back, so Robert out there now in 5th. The top 4 drivers still yet to pit. Martinez, Fabian, McLeod, and Poveda. As I say that, our leader is in.
Yeah, Poveda is in. This confirms what Evan Lathoris was telling us, that he is a bit light on fuel, but I mean, this is still, it's lap 20 of a 35 lap race. He's controlling the field by 15 seconds.
Both McLeod and Fabian go by. Poveda now out of his stop. I think he's going to get out ahead of, Damon Martinez certainly is, because Martinez has decided to make his stop this time as well.
However, no matter what position you are in one of these Williams F1 cars, you always have to remember never to be complacent after a scheduled pit stop during one of these races, because not only do you have cold tyres, but you have a heavy fuel load again, and these cars handle nothing like what they did right before your pit stop.
Got to go out, run that first lap, maybe even sometimes it takes a little longer than even a 1 lap before those tires heat up. On a day like today, it shouldn't be too bad. Pretty good racing weather. You can see those long shadows.
Oh, Clayton McLeod! In the wall! He's just seen too much of this from him in the second half of the season, Bill.
Yep.
He had it
from the lead.
He might have got away with it. Well, Fabian got by him for position and pulled away. Fabian and McLeod both in the pits. McLeod's crabbing a little bit, but he might be alright to come back out here.
Oh, I can't imagine him. He put the right side of the car in there really hard. We'll see what kind of repairs can be done in here, but so now all the pit stops are done. Poveda will re-inherit the lead. Fabian rolls, and all right, McLeod is coming out, but we'll see how this plays out. Yeah.
Someone who's not coming out, Bill, is Damon Martinez. One of the drivers running top 5 all race long. He is out of his car in his pit still, so something has happened to Martinez.
I don't know, he was doing fine. He made a regular pit stop. I just kind of figured, all right, he'll come in, make a stop, come back out, but never came back out. Another driver who qualified in the top 10 that's going to be out early. Okay. Bean coming in. qualifying in 16th spot, had worked his way up to 10th before making the stop. I can report that McLeod is out. He's got a 20-second gap on Robert Grosser. I'll take a look at his lap times in comparison to how it was before.
Yeah, and with Fabian pitting, Pavetta, of course, will cycle back around to the lead. He holds that by 17 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if McLeod is fast, I give a tip of the hat to Williams. They know how to build a strong car. That was an ugly hit that Clayton had.
Yeah, Formula One and the FIA have done such a good job at really building in recent years a car that's quite strong. I mean, I'm one of those that thinks, oh boy, if Nico Hülkenberg had been able to roll it back on his wheels, he probably would have been able to drive away from that accident last weekend.
I agree.
It needs like what they have in those battle bots, those Robot Wars shows, where they always have something on the top of their cars to, top of their robots to put it back up the right way. Yeah.
That's a great idea. A self-righting Formula One mechanism. That's great.
In Robot Wars, they called them a Shriemak over in England. I'm not sure if that word ever made it over.
Some extended saw blades would make interesting racing as well, if you want to take it a step farther. All right, all the pit stops are done.
7 cars on the lead lap. Let's take a look at them. Pavetta, he's leading this race from pole position. Hasn't been quite that simple, of course. Lotharis was leading the race early on, but Pavetta's kept his cool. He's remained in front of his championship contender, Fabian, all race long, but with only 7 cars left on the lead lap, and I think only about 10 left in the race, looks like Fabian's pretty much sealed the deal on this championship, running back in second place, Bill.
Yeah, I think he's feeling pretty good back there. He's been ahead of drivers, he's been behind drivers, but now he's settling in where he is. Down in third, another guy that we're impressed with is Clayton McLeod. He's made a couple mistakes, one big one when he pancaked the right side of the car into the wall, but he came out of the pits with a 21-second lead over Robert Grosser. That's now 22, so I think McLeod's going to be feeling pretty comfortable in that final podium spot. Sam, I'll talk about Grosser as well. He's been interesting. He qualified in 12th. He is up 8 spots. He's got 2.5 seconds back to Stefan Henkel.
Yeah, and Grosser only has 1 podium finish so far this season at Spa. Maybe he could pull off a second one here today if something happens in front of him. I'll tell you what though, that 2.5 second gap you talk about between Grosser and Henkel, that is the closest interval really on the track. And Henkel was about a second and a bit faster than Grosser last time around. So maybe Henkel could be thinking about having 4th place in the not too distant future. Dave Peterson, quiet race. He started 19th and he's made his way up to 6th. Granted, a bit of it has been through attrition, but that's how you have to do it sometimes. The survivors come out on top.
Peterson has been racing in most of this series. His best finish is a couple 7s, that he had actually 3 7s. Had one at Spa, one at Watkins Glen, and one at Sebring. Now behind Henkel, behind Peterson, then we get back to Clemens Modell. Modell started in 8th, up a spot. Boy, he is in no man's land. He's about 8 seconds behind Peterson and about 36 seconds, Sam, ahead of Silvio Hurt. Hurt a lap down.
Yeah, and Hurt actually just lost a bit of time, had a spin over Naretta Filio chicane, but was able to recover. Hurt, the only driver 1 lap down. The 9th place car out there on track is 2 laps down. That is Manuel Gomez Esteban. Started dead last on the grid, however, has just kept on trucking along and is currently running in 9th position. And rounding out the 10 cars we still have left in this race is Chris Bean, qualified in 16th and kind of ran around the middle of the field at the start of a race. Now finds himself at the back of the car still running, but that's still a top 10. And I'll tell you from experience, I'll always take a top 10.
That's dang right. Top 10 is a top 10 no matter how you do it.
Speaking of 10 laps left to go. Pavetta just crossed the line, put lap 25 on the board. We talked about this battle brewing for fourth, Bill. It's coming to a head.
Absolutely. Now, the driver he's looking at, I believe this is Esteban. He's going around the lap car there. That's really not for position. He's got 3 seconds to get up to Grosser.
Yeah, but I mean, last lap he was 8/10 a lap quicker, while the lap times this time by Grosser across the line of 1:26.7. That's a big improvement for Grosser, and Henkel actually has a slower lap this time by 1:28.0. So Grosser finally finding his mojo, realizing there's pressure coming from behind.
Grosser minding the gap. I think some of that could have been a result of Grosser having to get around Esteban, and then Henkel having to get around Esteban.
Speaking of closing the gap, I don't know if this was due to a mistake or lap traffic, but Fabian ate a whole second out of Paveda's lead last lap around. He's 13 seconds back with only 9 laps left to go. Let's see if that was just an outlier or if Fabian's able to continue the trend of 1:25.4 this lap for Paveda and a 1:24.9. So another half a second there for Fabian. He's closing the gap, but I think it's a little bit too little too late. We'll have to keep an eye out though. If Paveda's tyres fall off a cliff, that would definitely change the picture of a race.
You know, the championship...
I'm sorry, Bill. Modal just ran into trouble.
Oh, he was having a good run as he was trying to close in on Peterson.
I've been running in 7th place, the last car on the lead lap. Out of a De La Rosa chicane, lit the rear tyres up.
Yeah, he got into it okay, boy. And again, that was way past getting on the gas point. The car just got loose on him, coming out, trying to get the power down. He puts it in the wall, and I think Monza claims another victim.
9 race cars left on the track. 9 race cars left on the track. Henkel running Grosser down.
4 positions for Esteban and Hurt. Henkel is closing in on Grosser. 8 laps and about just over 2 seconds. Maybe it's doable. Might take a mistake from Robert for Stefan to really get there. I got my apologies to Clayton McLeod, who I wrote off. I got to get my clipboard and write his name back in here. Boy, he's really been able to run a good pace. He's now 26 seconds up on Grosser.
Yeah, but as you said that, he actually almost spun in the Rettifilio chicane. Would have been a slow speed spin. He would have got away with it, but just be careful what you're saying, Bill.
Yeah. Well, he put in his fastest lap. Just a little while
how often have you ever noticed that happens when you're playing iRacing though? You always run your fastest lap and you get in that mode of, okay, now I'm going to run another fast one, and then you have, like, the next lap is really ugly.
You don't play iRacing, you live iRacing. Just practicing for next season when we're on.
Yeah. That's their motto, is it?
Yeah. I'm trademarking it if I can get a little cash out of it. Yeah, but that's the plan.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was keeping an eye on the battle for fourth here. I was just saying, you're talking about trademarking phrases, Bill. You're trying to trademark stuff like gather up a chicken so no one puts on the side of a race car.
I appreciate that. Salmon's going to catch on too. How about Henkel, huh? Stefan's coming. He's got him down to under 2 seconds, under 1.7 to be precise. You can look at the numbers between those two drivers. Stefan's coming. I've done my goodness. Robert has got to pick it up.
Yeah, I think we were seeing a little bit of this though during the first stint of a race, Bill. Remember, Robert was in a bit of a three-way battle there, and it definitely seemed he was the one that was struggling late on in the run. I wonder if he's not as good at conserving tyres as his competitors, and I wonder if that could end up biting him in the closing laps here, costing 4th place to Henkel.
Right off the back, Henkel can now see him. For me, I always slow down when I can see the prey in front of me. I end up driving it in too deep. I end up going slower. I think Steven probably has it figured out. Plenty of time. 6 laps to go, 1.5 seconds. Plenty of time for him to get there. Go ahead.
Checking out the Classic Team Championship Lotus 79 race from GSRC last weekend at Imola. Bill, I've got to admit that rear view camera looks a lot better without a rear wing in the way. It's kind of obnoxious, isn't it?
Yes, we had a driver who was racing without the rear wing. It was fun. Had a nice view. There you can see both those drivers together as they come at you. Beautiful day here in Italy. Round they go. Our director says it's always a beautiful day in Italy. Across the finish line, 6 to go. Did McLeod just make another mistake? He did indeed. But that's okay. He's doing some interesting racing lines.
I really think McLeod just needs to finish on the podium here to get his confidence back. I can't recall the last time he's had a race this season where nothing went south.
It was early on. It was really impressive early days of this series, and then it's been rough. Opened the season with a win. First, second, third were his first 3 races, then it continued to get worse after that. In fact, those were his best 3 results all season long. Looking to close out the season with a podium. That's how you want to go into 2019.
Yeah, and you definitely want to stand on that virtual podium here at Monza. That's why iRacing needs, Bill. When we'll race in virtual reality in the future, you need to be able to walk out your car and get up there on the Monza podium if you finish in the top 3.
I put one right by my racing rig every time I actually do stand on one. It's fun. Although I have a low ceiling in my house, so sometimes I can finish second and third without a problem. But if I win, I have to actually hunch over. But it's still fun.
Let's talk about the race these drivers are in right now. Not a whole lot's changing. Well, I take that back. Obviously, we've been keeping an eye on the battle for 4th brewing. And battle for the lead isn't a battle, but Fabian has another 2 seconds out of Paveda's lead this lap. Once again, I think it's too little too late, because less than 4 laps left to go for Paveda now.
But what it does is it keeps Paveda honest. He still has to race. He knows if he makes a mistake, it puts him in jeopardy, so he's still racing with a little bit of pressure. But for Paveda, my dad used to say, when the light shines the brightest, the collar sews the tightest. So right now, Paveda's not really feeling the pressure. He can handle it.
Riding on board with Henkel as these two in the battle for 4th come to cross the line for 4 laps left to go.
Boy, he's coming. Just about got it down to single digits.
I tell you, that gap between the 2 leaders, even though I've said a couple of times I think it's too little too late, it's not from Paveda. Oh,
It's shrinking.
yeah, it's not from Paveda dropping off though. Fabian last lap around ran the fastest lap of the race. Fabian is flying right now.
Because he's a champion.
And he just did it again. Look, right at the top of the screen, at 1:24.3.
Does not want to back into a championship. 3 to go. 7.5 seconds. Pavetta just could be minding the gap right now.
I don't know how much I believe it though, Bill. I mean, these are some incredible laps from Fabian. This is the fastest Pavetta can go. But at the same time, how long can Fabian keep this rapid torrent pace up before he's tired to say, okay, enough of that, mate?
Well, saved it up. He only has 3 more laps, so let's it's like dying with money. You can't take it with you, so he's gonna, no reason to finish the race with any tread left on those tires. It's knocked off another half second just since we started talking about it. Not the case for Henkel, who has closed it into almost a second, boy. And now Stefan has fallen back on Grosser. I don't know if he's going to be able to get there. It was a good run.
Even though these are almost 10-year-old Formula 1 cars now, they still suffer from a bit of aero wash. It could have been the fact that Henkel got within 2 seconds of Grosser, and he's struggling to hold on since he got to that point.
There's Stefan now. Got 2 seconds back of Grosser. Good news is he's got 25 seconds on Dave Peterson, so a top 5 looks like a certainty for Stefan. Boy. Pavetta's left. Boy, he's lost another second.
Yeah, he's coming to the 1 to go though this time by. He'll be starting the final lap in just a few turns' time with a 5-second lead over Fabian again. There's nothing wrong with Pavetta's lap times. Fabian has just really upped the ante in these closing laps.
What a good season. A nice debut season for the batteries not included. This is fun. Glad we'll be back next year. Hope you join us.
And hopefully, as Pavetta comes to start the final lap, we'll see more performances like this out of him next season if he chooses to come back. Of course, a lot of these drivers may opt to compete in different series for the next iRacing season. Week 13 coming up next week, where everyone kind of takes a bit of a break, has fun. But Pavetta, he's been around a lot this year, but he hasn't exactly always had clean races. Early on during the season, he was fast at Suzuki. He had trouble. He was running 3rd at Spa. He threw the other way. He tried a strategy play at Interlagos. It worked all right. He came home 3rd. He finally got the win at Kota, and then he was battling Newton for the win at Imola. That was fun to watch. He finished 2nd in that race. Basically, there was contact between them. He thought he was to blame, so he yielded the position, and Newton took the victory. He got 3rd at Sebring, and most recently a 3rd at Watkins Glen. So just 1 win so far this year for Pavetta. That was at Kota. Here today, he's losing bunches and bunches of time to Joseph Fabian. Fabian is 3 seconds behind him right now, but that doesn't matter anymore because Pavetta is coming through the Parabolica. All he has to do now is push that gas down, wave his hand in the air, because Pavetta is the winner here at Monza.
Great way to close out the season. A fan favorite, always exciting. But now our attention turns to Joseph Fabian, who is going to win the championship here in the debut season of the Batteries Not Included League. Congratulations to Joseph.
Clayton McLeod going to come across the line in 3rd place. I've got to imagine this is got to be a bit bittersweet because he knows he made a couple of errors. It hasn't been the best season for him, but I think it should definitely do him a bit of good that he's going to come out with a podium finish. You can see the battle for 4th at the back of your screen there. Isn't really a battle anymore. Grosser should take that over Henkel, and McLeod going to come across the line. Bit of a beat-up car, but it gives it to Fossey. something to cheer about. Podium finish for the Ferrari.
I think he didn't think he was going to win this thing. He had a third-place car that he could have brought home in 20th. He brings it home in third. That's a successful race for Clayton. Grosser and Hankel round out the cars that are on the lead lap. Nope, let me correct myself. Dave Peterson gets to come around.
And Dave Peterson will round out the cars on the lead lap. 6th place. Such was the early attrition that we saw here today at Monza. So as he crosses the line, we're going to take a quick break here on the GSRC. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Monza, where we just witnessed the 12th and final round of the season here for the Batteries Not Included Championship. And at the end of the day, your winner after 35 laps was Antonio Ortiz Poveda by just 2.5 seconds over Joseph Fabian. I think Poveda was doing a little bit of celebration there on the final lap, taking it easy to bring home the victory. Hey, shout out to Clayton McLeod, finally back up on the podium after a bit of a poor middle season there. Robert Grosser comes home in 4th place ahead of Stefan Henkel. Henkel was able to run him down, wasn't able to challenge him for that position though. Rounding out the cars on the lead lap, just 6 of them at the end, was Dave Peterson. Silvio Hurt, didn't talk about them a whole lot, but they went from 20th to 7th. In fact, Dave Peterson gained 13 spots as well, 19th to 6th. Likewise for Manuel Gomez Esteban, 21st on the grid, 8th at the line. And then we get to the drivers, Chris Bean in 9th place. And then we get to the drivers who ran into trouble, 10th on back, all not running at the finish, starting with Clemens Model in 10th wheel.
I'll continue with the guys that had trouble. Damian Martinez and Thomas Ziegler go 11th and 12th. In the Bakerstown spot, Christian Smith just ahead of Ethan Lathuris. Thanks for Ethan to come in, or Evan, thanks to come in and talk to us. Robert D'Souza was in 15th position, all ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 spot, but 32 laps down was Marcus Gastal. Gastal finishing in 16th. Daniel Lurcher behind him. Another interview that we talked to was Erwin Woodstraw, as he came in 18th position. The final 3 cars that took the track, Alan Morgan, Michael Overbay, and Fabian Youngblood. There you have it. 21 drivers took the grid, 21 drivers results we gave you. All right, Sam, who you got?
Well, 21 drivers, but one driver who gets to stand on the top step of a podium, and that is Antonio Ortiz Poveda. Congratulations, Antonio.
Thanks a lot.
In the closing laps there, Joseph Fabian was really turning on some good lap times. How worried were you that he was going to get you? Did you have anything in reserve?
In fact, I had my car really damaged since lap 18. I took a curve in Ascari, and yeah, I was going really slow. And when I went to the pits, I had like 20 seconds of repairs, and I didn't want to do them because that would mean I could go out of the pit behind Joseph and Clayton. I was losing, I think that around 1.5 seconds or 1 second per lap. It was a little bit stressful, but by my calculations, he wasn't going to get there unless I did another mistake. Because in my race simulations, I was running at high 23s, low 24s at the end of the race. But, well, it all went okay in the end. That was how to give it like a little bit of emotion for the end of the race.
Yes, sometimes race wins look easy, but that one, as you just described, certainly was not. There's always something you're fighting in the car. Now, Antonio, I've got to confess, earlier on this season, you had some good performances, but you weren't able to seal the deal, come home with good finishes. You got a lot better towards the end of the season with that regards. Do you intend to come back next season, and how do you plan to approach it differently so that you can contend for the championship? I know you fought for the championship, a little bit towards the end there, but do you hope to come back and give Fabian a good run for his money?
Yes, of course, I will. The first races that I took was the second one. I just heard about the championship 2 days before the race, and I went in, and I think I was 7th or 8th, and I bought the car just for that race. So I got more and more experience with the car, and in Suzuka it was a thousand mistakes from my part. Then in Spa I was going in 3rd when I crashed, and from that race from Spa I learned the lesson, and I scored. I think this is the 6th podium in a strike in a row. I'm going to try to put things more complicated for Joseph. It will be complicated because he's mega fast, and it's really weird to see a mistake from him. I mean, when he can't win, he finished 2nd. So that's how difficult it is to win, to beat him.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Antonio. Congrats on your victory. We'll let you go celebrate.
Thanks. I'd like to thank Clayton for the championship because, well, we're racing thanks to him. And also my spotter, Coldo, that he was with me all season, and it was really helpful. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
All right, and that was the voice of our race winner. Now, Soup, you've called up with our championship winner.
The debut season had 12 races. 4 of them you get to drop. That means you're scored in 8 of them. Of those 8 races that counted, well, let me tell you right here, Joseph Fabian won 3, finished second in the other 5. That's how you win a championship. Joseph, congratulations on the championship. Well deserved.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was sort of stressful coming down to the last race, having had a few either technical difficulties or missing some races, but it's a relief to finally win. I'd like to quickly just thank especially Clayton for setting up the series, and I know he's put a lot of time and also money into it, so big thanks to him for that.
Did you race this one a little differently, knowing that only just a disaster would keep you from the championship, or were you just doing it like you normally do?
I definitely took a bit of a different approach, especially because I was on the back foot. I've got a new wheel. I didn't really get started testing until Thursday night, and I saw some times I was a long way off. I think luckily today I've caught back up and was in the running sort of for pole positions, and maybe if I kept it clean for a win or at least second. But yeah, I originally was going to do a different strategy with fuel. I was going to do just be super careful. But since I ended up on the front row, I thought, well, I'll just try and run a bit more of a normal race. So in the end, I tried to drive normal. I was very careful not to, be too aggressive with overtakes. And, I made a few mistakes. Luckily, there's quite a lot of space to spin and still avoid the walls here. So I managed to, keep the car undamaged. And I think a few other people had some errors. I know Evan had some unlucky run-ins and some technical difficulties maybe. So really glad with the second and getting, that 3 wins, 5 seconds looks quite good in the point. So yeah, very happy.
Yeah, we'll get you out of here on this one. You were really feeling it the last few laps at the end there. Were you pushing it, or are you just getting comfortable?
I think it was more I was a bit slow for most of the race. I think towards the end I got it right, but Antonio apparently had some damage, so that's why I was catching him quite fast. Yeah, I did get some good laps in.
Okay, well, congratulations on the championship. Great news for us is that we're going to come back. GSRC is going to be covering this for next season, so we hope to see you back for that one. Try to defend that championship.
Yeah, I'll try to make it out if I can. Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, Joseph Fabian, your first winner of the Batteries Not Included Championship.
Yep, and now let's go down to Parc Ferme, where we've caught up with our 4th place finisher, Robert Grosser. Robert, strong performance for you today. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was much better than I expected. I was really lacking some pace in practice and also in qualifying. But staying flawless was the key today in the race.
I've got to admit, you were kind of in a 3 or 4 car scrap in the first half of a race, and to me it looked like your tyres were a little bit more warm by the end of that run. But in the second stint there, Henkel was coming at you quite quickly. I thought, well, we're seeing the same thing here. Robert's tyres are going off a little bit, but you were able to keep him at bay. Were you just biding your time? Did you know you would be able to hold him off?
That is actually a good question, especially in the end with Stefan. I was so sure that he will catch me and pass me easily. He was really gaining so much time, and I was really struggling, not so much with the tires, a little bit with myself, having a bit of a cold, and also feeling not so confident today on track. I was just thinking he will easily pass me, but on the other hand, so much pressure throughout the whole race really helped me keeping my focus. And I think in the end that was a trick. Just staying focused until the very last lap, not making any big mistake, and
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of drivers make mistakes out there. This series is coming back to GSRC next season. Are we going to see you competing in it again?
I will certainly not do the full season, but at least some races here and there, that's for sure, because it's just a lot of fun, and what Clayton is putting together here is really outstanding, and yeah, keeping this old Williams alive on iRacing, this is really nice, and I enjoy racing in this league really a lot.
All right. Well, congratulations again on your 4th place finish today, Robert, and wish you a good weekend and hope to see you back again soon.
Thank you very much. Wish you the same. Cheers, guys.
So that is going to wrap up our interviews for today and for this season of Batteries Not Included. And Bill, you said it earlier in the show, we've had 6 different winners and 12 different races. We've had a very competitive championship, but a lot of drivers who didn't have a Williams or weren't used to the Williams, and they kind of got their feet wet in it this season. I think Joseph Fabian is going to have some handy competition next time around.
People getting used to the car, people getting familiar with the series. I personally would like to thank your sister for scheduling her wedding on a Saturday and allowed me to come in and substitute for you on one of those race weekends, and I had a fun time calling this one. If I'm not subbing, I'm going to be watching this one next season. It's going to be exciting.
All right. Well, we hope to see you all back next season. And again, that will be on the iRacing Esports Network. So make sure you subscribe to those guys if you haven't already. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on GSRC here on YouTube if you haven't already. Well, we would definitely like to thank Clayton McLeod as well as all of the organisers and the competitors of the Batteries Not Included Championship for coming out this season and putting on a great show all season long. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware that we use and that help make these broadcasts possible, and there you can see them all listed on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Toon Lalonde to provide us with our music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Sean and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter, we're at GSR Channel, and also be sure to give us a like on Facebook and check us out on Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.